Hello and welcome back to Bridals We Sort Out YouTube channel. In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to cut the upper part of this gown and also how to cut the sleeve. This is actually the continuation of the wedding dress I started, and this upper part is basically the inspo I use for the upper part of the dress. So let's get going. So right now I have my mikado folded into two since we are cutting the front. And the first thing I'm going to be doing is to mark my back. And my back measurements, the back measurement for this dress is 15. Now 15 divided by 2, that makes 7.5. I'm going to add half to it, which makes 8, and that half will serve as my sewing allowance. Right now, come down to my chest line. For this particular dress, I'm going to use 8 as my chest line. And remember, that chest line is where your armhole will be. So right now, I'm going to mark it and then form my armhole with my cuff pattern. So after this, I hope you can see my choking. It's looking faint actually, but I hope we can see it. Now, the next thing I'm going to mark is my corset. And for those people that does not know, corset is your shoulder to your nipple, which is 10. And the next thing I'm going to mark is my UBL. That's my under bust length. And then from there, I will move to my half length, which is 15. I added 2 inches to it as my sewing allowance at that part. The same thing I do to this side, I also do to the other side so that I can have a straight mark. I'm trying to make this explanation beginner friendly, because by the time you get this right, this is the same way you will cut padded princess darts. It's the same cut we use for padded princess darts. That's what I'm using. So by the time you get this right, you'll be able to get it right for any other cloth, not only wedding dress. Right now, the next marking that I'm going to do is my gap. And for those that does not know, gap means from one nipple point, measurement from one nipple point to the other. So for this particular one, I have 8 as my gap. Right now, I'm going to divide the 8 by 2, which makes 4. And then I will add half inch to it as my sewing allowance. And this I will mark on all the points. I mean on my half length, my UBL, and on my corset. After doing this, I'll come up to my shoulder points and then make a slight slant. I'm marking half inch there too. So after doing that, I measured my armhole. I have 9 after marking my slants out. So from that 9 I divide by 2, that's 4.5 rather. Then I'll come back to my corset line and then make a slant cuff up, just like you see me do. Remember, I don't know if you know what that we are cutting is. It's actually a padded princess darts, and that's why we are going through this method. After doing that, I will mark half inch downward the initial mark, and then come up and mark another half inch. So this half inch that I marked, I will bring them down and make a slant cuff also to meet the corset at each point. So for this the down slant that I just made, I will make an extension, because if I cut it the way it is, my friend, you have a short of clothes at the armhole afterwards. So that's why I'm going to extend it just like you see me do. Now after extending it, I will mark a 1.5 inch on the extension and then form my new armhole. If you don't get me, the reason for doing this is that when we are joining, so that we will not be short of clothes at the armhole. That's the reason for that extension. Right now, we'll come down to our underbust length and make some mark. So on my left side, I'm going to mark out 1, and then come to my left side, my right side rather, and mark out 2 inches. So then at that point where I mark 2 inch, I'll come to the half length and mark 1. And the part where I marked 1, the left side, I will mark at the half length, I'll mark 1 inch, and then make I'll join it together. So after joining this side, I'll join the other side also. You see how I'm joining it, because they are not the same like the other one. So I'll join it first. I'll join the half length first to the UBL, and then mark the mark from half length down. This is just to make our breast cuff cuts. So with my cuff, I will curve that half UBL point. Right there, I will bring it to my corset, just like you see me do. And if you look at it well, you can see that our breast shape cuff is coming out already. So right now we have our pattern well drafted. So now after drafting it, before cutting it out, we'll make our body measurement on it. So the first thing we'll come to is our armhole. Before we continue, let me give you the measurements I used. For my bust, I have 34. For my under bust round, I have 28. And also for my waist, I have 28. So what I will do now is divide my 34 by 4. So after dividing it, I have 8.5. And then I will have the 1.5 extension that I made the other time to it. Then add 3 inches to it. And that's the mark I'm making here on my chest line and on the corset. Now coming to the UBR, the underbust length, I have 28 as my UBR. So I will divide it by 4. I got 7 dividing it. So remember that we marked 3 inch. These 3 inches we are going to cut out. So that 3 inches will add to the 7. That makes 10. And then I will now make another extra 3 inches as my sewing allowance. The same thing I will do at the half length point. So I have 2 there. You can see the way I'm measuring it. I have 2 inches I'm going to cut out. So now our waist divided by 4 is 28. 28 divided by 4, that's 7. I will mark 7, then add 2 inches on it. That makes 9. I hope you are getting my calculation. So after getting the 9, I will add extra 3 inches as my sewing allowance. I have 12 like that. So we have our pattern well drafted and well marked out. So next thing we'll do is just cut it out like you see me do. So yes, I'm deliberately cutting this in this way so that you will see the way I cut it out. And as you can see how shapy it is. You can see the curve, the breast cuts curve already. Very, very, very neat. Can you see? So now I will have everything cut out. The center point, you see the way I'm cutting it also. You must be very, very careful so that you won't dent what you've marked out. So after cutting this now, we have our center point, we have our side cut also. Can you see it? Very, very neat and beautiful. Even without sewing it yet, you can see that it's very, very fine. and it's very shapy. So next thing we'll do now is, I'm trying to show you how it will be placed. So I have the center and then the two sides. Can you see? So the next thing we are going to do now is we'll cut our neck, our dress neck, not our neck, I beg. So now, if you observe well that for that style, we have canoe neck as the neck. So to get this canoe neck, mark 5 inches rather as my width, and then come down to the depth part of our neck. Mark out 3. So the same measurements I use for the front as my neck width and depth, that's what I'm going to use at the back. So right now, like I said, I have 5 inches as my width neck on the neck and 2.5 inches as my depth on the neck. The way I placed my pattern cuff, yes, because it's not a round neck, it's a canoe neck. That's why I place it that way. You will see that it's like a slant, it's not a cuff. And so that's how to cut canoe neck. One of these days, I'm going to teach us how to cut different neck. Yeah, behind the scene, I've cut all the lining. It's the same material, the Mikado, that I use for the normal dress that I'm using to line it too. So I've cut all the linings and then make the same cuts on it. I mean the neck cuts. So right now what we'll do is cut the wording. Remember, it's padded princess that. So I'm trying to show you how to cut the wording too, because so many people get confused doing this. So right now I place my center front on the wording, and then you can see it that is at that under bust length that I started my cuts, and then I'll come up beyond like before reaching my armhole cut, and then I came up like around, if you look at it, you will see that it's around 6 inches, the whole length of the wording. So coming from my under bust length up to like 6 inches, that's the cut, so that it will not be too bulky too on the chest. So the same thing I will do to the sides. I'll place the side cuts on the wording and then start the cut from my under bust length, under bust cuts, and then make that round shape, that breast shape on it. So now I hope you are seeing what I'm doing. I'll come to the side too and then cut it up and then make the armhole shape. So after cutting this out, I will come in a little so that it won't be bulky at the armhole. So right now we are cutting the sleeve, and I have my sleeve cut out already, and right here I cut both the sleeve and what I will use to line it. Of course, I'm using the same material, the same Mikado material to line it, and that's why I have 4 sleeves there, 2 for the normal sleeve because we have 2 hands now, and then the 2 remaining ones as a lining. So right now I want to cut out that shape so that we'll have the sleeve like you see in the picture. So on my sleeve, I will mark out on the depth, I will mark out 7, and then I will come to the cap. On my cap, I will mark 5, and then initially I was going to use 4. So like now I marked 5. Yes. So on my cap I marked out 5, and then from that 5 I will make a curved shape to that initial 7 marked out. Can you see the way I marked it out? So by the time you have it, it will be like a U shape after cutting it out. So now I have cut it out. Can you see how beautiful it is? That's what we'll now use to cut the remaining 3 sleeves that we have. I mean the sleeve and the lining. I'm placing it right so that we'll have everything cut out together in the same shape and we also have it neat. So I'm trying to arrange it. Right now, the next thing we are going to do is pick our cutouts and use it to cut out our two net. Of course, we are still going to use lace there, but then that will be for patterning. So right now, I'll fold it into 4. I'm cutting two together. So I'm cutting the first one, which will be for the first sleeve, the lining and the normal, the normal and the lining. So I'm trying to add sewing allowance to it. We are not going to cut the exact shape, if not we'll fall short of material. So now I'm going to add like ½ inch to my cutout so that it will serve as sewing allowance, and that's why I'm doing all the pressing so that it will be neat and well cut out. So now this is for the first sleeve. I have two knits for this first sleeve, and then I'm going to cut the other one too. And so this is basically how I cut out the front part of the dress and the sleeve. In my next tutorial, I'm going to show you how I cut the back part of the dress, and after cutting it, of course, I'm going to show you the picture of the wedding dress after sewing everything that I cut in the first tutorial, in my first tutorial in this continuation, and the next one I'm going to cut. Thank you everyone for staying true to the end of this video. Like, I really appreciate you. Thank you. I hope this video was of value to you. If you gain any value from this video rather, please kindly like, and if you have any question or you have any comments, feel free to share. Like, I will respond to it in due time. Thank you everybody for staying true. And if you are here to subscribe to this channel, don't wait again. No, subscribe, like, share, and always make comments. I like feedback. Give me feedback on all that you see. God bless you. So see you in my next video. I really appreciate you all. Bye for now. See you in my next video. Bye.